Is it a good situation? It's green. Hello? Hi. All good? Okay. I just can't hear. All right. So tonight I want to talk about work-life balance because I think it's something that we all want, but we struggle with it. And I have a theory that the reason we struggle is because the concept itself is fundamentally flawed. And to show you what I mean, I want to start with a quick story about my mom's first job out of college. She worked at a consulting firm, and most of her coworkers were these like really stoic dudes who never talked about life outside of work. They didn't chit-chat about the wife or the kids or like what they did on the weekend, nothing. She had no idea who these people were outside the office. So what I learned was that in corporate America, you're expected to keep your work and your life completely separate. And being an adult is basically about maintaining this boundary line between these two personas so that they can operate basically independently of each other. So on the one side, WorkU sort of takes on the persona of the company that you work for, right? Like your job sort of dictates how you dress and how you act and maybe even how you talk if you use like corporate jargon. And you basically try to operate like Life U doesn't exist because to do so would be unprofessional. And then on the other side, Life U is like the real or the authentic you, and you can dress however you want and talk however you want and believe whatever you want so long as it doesn't impact your work. And WorkU and LifeU could even be like total strangers to one another. And that used to be fine because WorkU was supposed to stay at work. The deal was like when the clock strikes 5, I imagine it like you pull like a Superman, you like rush into the telephone booth and transform from WorkU back into LifeU. But we all know it doesn't work like that anymore. We have all this new technology that's fundamentally changed work so that it no longer ends at 5. So now, on nights and weekends when you're supposed to be fully absorbed and enjoying being LifeU, a stray email or a client call or a deadline pulls you right back into WorkU. So WorkU and LifeU can't be strangers anymore because WorkU constantly barges in on LifeU. And every time it does, you have to make this choice, whether you want to be a good employee on the one hand or a good parent or partner or friend or whatever on the other. Work barges in so often now that life just sort of gets the scraps. And we become so distracted by work that you end up both like a burned out employee and kind of a miserable person to be around. So along comes this idea of work-life balance, and it's meant to address this like imbalance of time that you spend in work mode. And we treat it like it's like the holy grail of office perks because it's supposed to give you back that time to actually participate in your life. And the way it does that is by pushing all that technology back over to the work side and trying to like reinforce that boundary so that WorkU and LifeU can be strangers again. It seems like a pretty workable solution, right? I think it's bullshit. And I think so because, if I can find my notes, because the very name work-life balance reinforces this idea that work life and personal life can't play nice, so they have to be separated from each other. So I think the problem isn't this imbalance of time. The problem is feeling like you have two selves that have interests that are fundamentally at odds with each other. So it creates this like state of cognitive dissonance that work-life balance only reinforces. So I think the solution instead is to recognize that your WorkU and your LifeU are actually part of the same integrated whole. And that WorkU and LifeU is just this false dichotomy that we need to get rid of. What I mean is that when we treat work like it's like this monolithic beast that your whole life has to work around separately. But when you actually look at like a crude diagram of your life, it's just right in there. I put it in between pets and adulting. So I say, let's get rid of work-life balance. Let's shoot for work-life blend, which is about recognizing that you're one whole single person and work is just another part of life, not some separate thing that has to be managed outside of it. And just like work doesn't stop happening while you're at home, life doesn't stop happening while you're at the office. So just like work gets to barge in on life, life should be allowed to barge in on work without being considered unprofessional. So work-life blend is about not having to do that cost-benefit analysis of choosing work over life or doing damage control because you picked one over the other. It's about choosing to work in a way that suits you in the context of your life so that you can put up your best work. Why? Because robots are coming for all of our jobs, right? But if you figure out how to do your job in a way that's human and unique to you, I think that you'll be able to do your job better than any robot, and you'll end up being irreplaceable.